Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 44, and this might be episode number like 60-something or for you guys, for Savvy Citizen.
63.
Yeah, we're in there. We're in
I
the
think I
60s somewhere.
looked that up. So, to say the least, this is not the normal Gaston's Great podcast episode. However, we're very excited to talk with the host of the Savvy Citizen podcast, and we have Janet Schafer and Adam Gaub with us, who are the host of that podcast. So, I'm going to be off track here, as I was explaining before we came on here, that I am the engineer trained guy who likes to be in control and have questions and things to follow, and I am completely out of my element here. And Elisabeth is laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Elisabeth? So, Janet and Adam, welcome to this co-produced, exciting episode of Savvy Citizen Gaston's Great.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I'm a big fan, so we're really excited.
We appreciate that. I'll admit, when we started this, I happened to bring a sheet out today because I wanted to see actually our first episode, and we recorded, according to my notes, on March 23rd. So it's been almost a year since we recorded our very first episode, and we haven't taken a break, and I think we're going to take a break here shortly. But
yeah.
So I've also been told that I might get asked some questions today, so that's very scary.
Yeah.
But we're not going to go there yet. We're going to get maybe Adam and Janet to just share a little bit about yourselves, and before we kind of go down that road, so maybe I won't have to answer any questions myself.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make it brief so we can get to you. But I'm Janet Schafer. I'm the Budget and Strategy Director at Gaston County, which has nothing to do with podcasting at all, but I am obsessed with podcasts. So Adam kind of came on board and wanted to start a podcast and
Very good.
asked me to join along, and it's been so much fun. Just podcasting, I listen to them all the time. So
I do too.
But I've learned a lot about Gaston County in the meantime, and it's been an awesome experience. But I'm actually from here, from like Bessemer City, Dallas. I never know where, just somewhere in that line.
Bessemer City, Dallas, Cherryville.
Yeah, and
whatever
live
it
here
takes.
now. So
whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And I am definitely not from here. I do not come with a southern accent. So I'm from Arizona originally, and been at Gaston County for just a little over 2 years. So I started there in February of 2020, right before we started into the pandemic.
So you had about a month before the shutdown?
Yep.
It's either terrible or great timing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it from the perspective of like it. Short of a zombie apocalypse, like really can't get much crazier than what we went through. So like everything else should be easier by comparison.
Yeah, sure.
So I've survived, and most of my brain is still intact, I think. So it should be easier from here.
So it's all downhill from here.
I'm hoping.
I should mention though that Adam, I think another reason why he asked me to do this because he wanted local a local accent since he's from Arizona. I clearly have that, so. Yeah, that's something I've had to get used to, podcasting and listening to my own voice.
Just her accent. She's grown up here. She knows Gaston County well and is very passionate about the community.
And it sounds like it.
So how did Savvy Citizen get started?
We were asked this earlier because we were doing we realized that we have gone a year and a half into doing the podcast and have never really introduced ourselves as hosts. And we have a couple folks on staff that now kind of join us from time to time as guest hosts. But Janet and I started it. I think our first episode was October of 2020, and we had kicked around the idea of what would it look like to do a podcast, and my thought process behind it was kind of pull back the curtain for local government, and especially at the county level. I think a lot of people don't know what the county government does. It's like you get your tax bill every year and you go, well, what am I paying all this for? And it's like there's actually quite a bit that the county does, from libraries to Parks and Rec to our museum to public works. And the thought process was, well, can we not only show some of the things that are going on, but then also kind of humanize it a little bit, tell the stories of the people that work for county government. So we've definitely tried to do that. And we've expanded it a little bit too, to be able to kind of touch on some broader things that have gone on in the community. So we did episodes around Black History Month, Women's History Month. We've touched on some things that are not necessarily specific to work that's being done at the county, but just things that will affect Gaston County citizens at large. So that was kind of my thought process behind it, and I'll let Janet kind of talk to what she was thinking and how I cajoled her into doing this.
So like I said earlier, I'm obsessed with podcasts, but that's mostly because I love just getting into the weeds of things and just nerding out on a topic that sounds boring on the surface. And you know how that, I mean, in podcasts, you know how that is. So that's really what I wanted people to be able to see is, dive into the weeds of some random part of county government and see, like, I guess, how the sausage is made, as they say. And just nerd out because I'm such a government nerd and I know a lot of government nerds, and it's just fascinating.
So you really are the person that is from the government and you're here to help?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's, we didn't really come up with like a tagline for the podcast, but it certainly could be like, making spreadsheets sexy. I mean, that's kind of that's where we're at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a phrase we've never heard on the Gaston's Great podcast. Is sexy spreadsheets. However, some of the things we do here at GSM, that's we do love a spreadsheet,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I can't do it, I can't do it on Word. I have to do it on a spreadsheet there.
Excel is your friend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, government things, it does seem like some of that stuff's a secret. And as a citizen, you think, well, this just happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these things, these services and things that we just get accustomed to, especially because, I live in the city. So I'm taking advantage of both city services and county services. So that's interesting. And I will admit, I went to your website yesterday and a little bit this morning, and you guys got some great episodes. I mean, I haven't listened to many of them at this point, but you definitely piqued my interest on some of the episodes I want to go take a listen to, because I am a podcast. When I'm in my vehicle or running, I'm almost exclusively a podcast listener.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Elisabeth and the team here will tell you, oh, Lord, Stephen just shared another podcast with us. What is he sharing this time?
So I take recommendations very seriously. So that my life is consumed by podcast recommendations people send me.
Okay.
Because I have to listen to it, or I feel like I didn't check a box or something. I don't know. A loose end.
So that's so you have FOMO, podcast fear of missing out. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's just, we just made up a new word here because I have the same.
Yeah.
Disorder. Is that it? It might be a disorder. Okay. So, I'm afraid to go there to let y'all ask me questions.
Oh, yes. Is it time for this?
I don't know. Like I said, we have no idea where this is going to go.
Well, we talked about this earlier, but we were curious, what led you guys to get into podcasting? I mean, you talked a little bit about kind of, sounds like with Janet, you have a passion for them, but what was kind of the driving factor for you to start Gaston's Great?
So we could talk about this for a while, but make a long story short, my brother and I don't know how many years ago, we could look it up exactly on our YouTube channel, but we did some videos with Jesse Cole.
Yeah.
Jesse Cole originally with the Gaston County Grizzlies. Now he's down in Savannah with the Savannah Bananas. But we decided we want to just highlight some things that were positive things around in and around Gaston County. And we did videos with, we went out to Rankin Lake, and we went to the Shield Museum, and we went to the YMCA, and we did one at the Community Foundation Run. So we did, I don't know how many we did, probably we ended up doing 12 or 14, probably over a period of time, but you can go to our YouTube channel and see them. And we've actually shared some, I think, on the Gaston's Great Facebook page and website. And so, and then we kind of just got away from it. The amount of time required, doing video versus a podcast is quite a different animal. But that was actually started because, gosh, Gaston County is a great place, and the constant negativity and then some of the constant negative connotations maybe around about Gaston County, but just in general, and then being such a podcast fan, we talked about doing something different with Gaston Great. We own the URL, and we just wanted to do something with it. So I finally said, you know what, let's just start doing some podcasts. If anybody listens, great. If they don't. But most recently, when we finally started it a little last year, was simply middle of COVID. So much, again, just trying to battle some of the negative constant in the media.
Oh, yeah.
And so we knew there's so many great things happening in and around Gaston County, and it really, as simple as that sounds, that really was it. There was no other, ulterior motives. And we have had a few people ask me, well, yeah, why are you doing that? I don't know. If it's fun and there's great things happening, and these organizations deserve some recognition that they might not get. Of course, I think early on we were like, nobody's going to listen to this, but we're up pushing 4,000 downloads or whatever now. I mean, so it's shocking, frankly, that people actually are listening, and the response that we've had. So that was the simple. We were just trying to, make more people aware of the great organizations doing good work around Gaston County, and talk about positive things. It's that simple.
So what are some of the things you've learned since you first started? I have a list. I can start my list if you want.
Sure.
Like one of those is I can't prepare for a podcast, or I sound like a robot. Or I have the sweet spot of like a little bit of preparation.
Right.
But you, however, prepare heavily. So you're...
Well, I'm sure if some professional podcaster came around and saw my preparation, they would probably not say it's heavy preparation. But I do have a little script that I tried to follow to make sure. So when you hear the beginning and end of our podcast, it's actually me. We don't record it one time and then just replay it. I am doing it every single episode. Yeah. I've learned that I've gotten used to. I don't despise my voice as much on hearing it.
I was going to say that's something I had to learn, is how to listen to my own voice.
Yeah,
and not be
early
scared.
on that was difficult. And I would just say getting help when we have great people like Elisabeth and our marketing director, Amy, who really did a lot with it early on. Elisabeth has kind of taken over that, and having help instead of trying to do everything myself,
right.
Makes it easy. And then frankly, just all the stuff I've learned from talking to these organizations, frankly. I'm looking at the list. I'm just surprised. I'm trying to think of one I really didn't know much about. Well, I didn't know a whole lot about like the Catawba River Keepers Gaston Aquatics, Bit of Hope Ranch. I knew a little bit about Ram's Kitchen. That episode hadn't been released yet, but when we talked about Shining Hope Farms, the Animal League, I knew of them, but didn't know anything about exactly what they did. So it's learning so much about these great organizations and the good work they do, and frankly, it makes you feel good too. It's okay to talk about these things and charitable organizations and doing good things in the community. And just yesterday, I was kind of in a crappy mood yesterday morning from some things happening here at work, and then I sat through this podcast interviewing Brandy Meeks from Ram's Kitchen, and I left there going, you know what? I feel better now.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me that, gosh, they're doing some good work in an area, town that needs it.
Do you have any favorite episodes, or are they all your favorite? Are they like children?
Well,
love them all?
Well, even my children, I'm like, I have 3 children, and I think they all would tell you who they think my favorite is. I'm not sure I could say a very specific favorite, but I'm heavily involved with a group called F3. So we had a great episode with 2 of my buddies from F3 Gastonia, and I'd love to talk about that more sometime. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Gastonia, and I had 2 of my Rotarians on here, and that was almost a year ago as well. I think the Dream Center Academy was really a good one, hearing about what they're doing and their plans for the future. So the guy, I don't know that I could narrow it down. And then we had the one that was released last week, was probably the most emotional one. Remembering Austin is an organization here, started by Tammy and Najwa Chowdhury. I don't know if you've met the Chowdhurys, but they lost their son to an accidental opioid overdose in 2017. So they started an organization to bring awareness and education, about the opioid epidemic. And so that one was, as gut-wrenching, frankly, as it was a good one. And I've got, my kids are 23, 20, and 16. So I immediately, when it came out, I immediately shared that with my kid and said, I need you guys to listen, to take some time to listen to that one. So some of them are heavy topics, that we've talked about, and most of it's not, but I think eventually you have to talk about, because that's still great work that they're doing. It's just a more difficult topic, as opposed to, horse therapy or whatever. That's a little more light to talk about. So
you mentioned that you're part of the Rotary and involved in a lot of things going on, and seem to know a lot of people and organizations. So that means you're from Gaston County, right?
I am originally from Gaston County, yes. Grew up here, Ashbrook High School.
Okay.
Yes.
And I just learned that GSM has been here since the 1920s. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
We have.
Yeah.
I haven't, but we have.
Yeah.
The company has, yes.
Yeah. So, so you're from Gaston, went to Ashbrook. Did you go to college anywhere?
I went to NC State.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I hear that on your episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one question. That's the
one question you'll answer.
That's the only question that has only one correct answer. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go Wolfpack, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And we often do not get the right answer.
You get Tar Heels or Dookies or.
Sometimes I'll throw in, if I do enough research and I know somebody went somewhere else, then I'll throw that as a choice.
So how do you come up with episode ideas?
Originally I actually just came up with this long list of community organizations. Mm-hmm. And if you look at probably the first 20 were things heavily that I have been either involved with personally or know the individuals personally.
Okay.
Now, Elisabeth is really doing a good job of expanding that list. I think the most recent thing we did is actually we took the organizations involved with the Community Foundation Run. We just took that list of 140 some organizations and started going through that list of ones we haven't had on, because our focus so far has been really nonprofits and organizations that are doing mostly charitable work or 501c3 type organizations that are serving the county in some way. But then you occasionally you'll have one like Catawba Riverkeeper, which is based in Gaston County, but they're serving this. It's a regional organization, right. Or the Carolina Thread Trail we had on, and I had no idea how broad of an area that the Thread Trail is actually in the number of miles. So that's kind of how we just currently are doing it now. 5 years from now, when Elisabeth is the host, we might be doing something completely different. Because I think that's a great idea.
It's kind of addicting, honestly. Well, you probably sit in here and learn everything too. So yeah.
Well, if you listen to a podcast, you think you can host one, which is kind of right. Which is it's kind of like, I can do that business on the internet. I mean, if they can do it, I can do it.
We're trying to get into some of the more experimental NPR-ish type things, but it's new to us.
Yeah,
we're experimenting.
So we're playing with it. We had one episode last year that was a little bit outside the box, and we've got a guy named Joshua Braswell who's come on as a fellow for our office that started kind of taking over the production side of the editing and adding in any additional elements that need to be edited on the back end. But we produced like a Halloween episode that had some ghost stories to it with a bunch of music and special effects and a little bit outside the box of what we've normally been doing, which is much more of traditional kind of sit down interview style. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to look at, in-depth reports on stuff that go beyond kind of, a 1 or 2 person interview on a single topic. Mm-hmm. And part of that, I think for us as a county is looking at, there's the way that people get information has changed so dramatically over the past, 10, 20 years.
Right.
And, if you're trying to connect people to what's going on in the community, the idea of, well, everybody's going to read the local newspaper, or, there's only 3 TV channels and everybody's going to tune in. And it's so different now. And so, I mean, for us as a county, I mean, a big part of what we do is trying to make sure that we provide quality information for folks and stuff that they're going to be interested in, so that's why we kind of went down the path of doing a podcast. We've got kind of video series that we do that are kind of more news update type stuff, but we want to be able to produce stuff that people are actually going to look forward to and be excited to see, and not just hey, we're going to put out a 47-page written report on, wastewater.
Yeah. That sounds riveting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which for a government nerd, honestly, it is. But
Well, I've learned too, as from our marketing side and stuff, a lot of the stuff that Elisabeth and Amy are involved with, besides the Gaston's Great podcast, is the way people consume information is so different, and video is a good example of how that has changed everything. I'll have to admit something. I'm admitting this live on a podcast for the first time after 1990, late 1995, just a few weeks ago was the first time I quit getting the local newspaper.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but in being in the marketing, and we work with the Sumner Group, a lot of marketing, so we kind of know how that has changed. I mean, I know the numbers of the circulation and how that has changed over time. Now I am getting it digitally. Mm-hmm. But even that's different. So to your point, Adam, about how things have changed, and the 24-hour news and these handheld devices where you can get information, where I had to go to the library in high school and look up something and, go grab it and put it on the table and actually read it instead of going to YouTube and in 30 seconds I had all the information I needed.
And honestly, I'll even do a screen reader on an article so I can move around and listen to what the article says. Like, that's how unwilling I am to sit still and like look at something.
Yeah, I'm old enough. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I still remember encyclopedias, so I've got that going at least.
Yeah, we had the World Book.
Yeah.
Not the Britannica. We had the World Book at the Longhouse growing up.
So
I do know what Wikipedia is.
There you go.
I at least know what that is.
Yeah.
Wikipedia?
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Okay. I'm okay not pronouncing something correctly.
So you don't have a GSM TikTok in your future, is what I'm hearing. Or do you?
We do.
You do?
We do.
Oh, that's exciting.
And reels.
For the record, I am not on TikTok, but I see them when Elisabeth does them. Yes. So GSM does have that. I'm not sure what that means, but I do see the Instagram reels. I do see that.
To me, it's crazy. I mean, it's so much of that is based on algorithms, but the only entity at the county that's using TikTok at the moment is our animal control folks.
Yeah.
And they had, I think you were sharing with me, Janet, that they had a video of, was it the cat video that went viral and got over 6 million views?
And of course, like, people from all over the country were trying to adopt this cat.
Right.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Seems like maybe Parks and Rec or something. We had Kathy Hart on back on episode 22.
Oh, they might have a TikTok.
That would seem like that might be somebody in the
Honestly,
Canada.
I don't have one, but my friends send them to me, so I feel like I end up watching TikTok a lot. Yeah.
I mean, of course, my kids are all the time trying to share stuff with me and tell me about this and look that up. So
I feel like we could end up spending so much time on TikTok. We could hire somebody to literally just do TikToks.
Yeah.
I mean, the Washington Post did. They literally have a guy, and that is his job, is to produce a TikTok for them every day. And it was interesting because he did it during the pandemic, and he had to come up with a lot of creative stuff to basically do on his own. That was kind of fun to watch. Like, what is Dave going to come up with today?
Yeah, I don't see Steven being on TikTok anytime soon.
There go all my plans.
I don't know. We'll see.
There's not some sort of a dance challenge you have an itching to participate in?
There's a limit there. It's kind of like how many times I've been asked to do the the Boys and Girls Club event, the Dancing for Future Stars.
Yeah.
And there are just many different ways I can support the community.
And dancing's not one of them.
My brother actually did that a few years ago,
did?
and I'll give him credit for doing it. And after watching him do it, that kind of just solidified my position that I am not. That is not in my wheelhouse. That is not my talent to serve the community. I will do that in other ways, like this podcast maybe, or try to anyway.
So you guys go through kind of a whole list of questions with your guests, and one of the ones that caught our eye when we were sitting here talking before was Sundrop or Cheerwine, and so we've got to find out is that.
Should we go through the whole rapid fire?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, let's go through the whole. Okay, all right.
So we do that. Just we got to. It is about Gaston County, and knowing that we might have some heavy topics every now and then, and we did want to throw in something. Let's shift gears a little bit, and let's get in. And I think I always say, this is what your friends and family really want to know about you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to get Elisabeth in on the rapid fire round too?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, we can make this work. Should we just all go?
We can just do this. This works.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird.
All right.
All right. So this is the world. Is this the official world debut of Elisabeth King?
Yes,
Woo.
I guess. That would be the world debut.
Other than the background, making fun of me in the background.
See, that's what's great about being in the background because nobody can see me, so they don't know that I'm laughing the whole
nobody
time.
can. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
So nobody can see you.
I know,
anyway.
but they don't know I'm laughing all the time.
Well, that's true.
Ugh.
Actually, normally I tell them that you're laughing at me.
That's true. Yeah, you do.
Okay, you want to start us off? We'll just all go around. What's the first question?
So we did the tell us about yourself, and we did kind of how did you end up here? Although we haven't heard from Elisabeth on that.
Oh yeah.
On which one?
On number 2, how did you get here? End up
get
here?
Here?
Yeah.
Like at GSM, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would be what counts. Well, I was going to college in Queens and Charlotte.
Okay.
And I actually went to school for creative writing and English literature. I didn't know I was going to end up at an HVAC company.
Yeah.
And I graduated and was looking for a job. I had done some interviews, wasn't feeling anything. And my dad actually made a post on Facebook and was like, my daughter needs a job. And Stephen was like, oh, we're working on this new position for marketing and customer service. And I came in and interviewed, and they snatched me up.
Nice.
So here I am. And I can add podcasts to my resume now.
That's right. Yeah.
Terrific. She's terrific as well.
Oh, thank you.
And you're from Gaston County.
I am. I grew up here, went to high school here. Queens was my only detour, and then I was like, nah, I'm coming back.
Where did you go to high school?
Gaston Christian.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Who's
I'm going to.
Yep.
I'm going to start with Tony's ice cream.
Ooh.
Okay. Who wants to answer first?
Elizabeth knows my answer. It's chocolate.
Okay.
And the joke is always, I go there and I'm going to get something different every time, and I don't. I get the same thing every time. And
The old reliable.
And it's got to be a milkshake, yes.
Oh, yeah. Adam?
So this is a very sad confession. I have not had Tony's ice cream.
What?
You're the
Yes.
second or third person maybe that said that and we normally chastise that individual.
No, and I fully deserve it. I worked here for 2 years.
Readily.
It's just down the street from us. My wife and daughter have had it. I have not.
I blame myself because we work so closely together. I should have taken you or brought you Tony's or something. Okay, that's my fault.
Yes.
I have heard, though, that their milkshakes are.
You're not fully
To die for.
indoctrinated into Gaston County until
Right.
you've had Tony's.
Okay, I'll go. So let me just say this. I love all food and all flavors, and I'm the most adventurous eater, but I love vanilla. Just vanilla. Vanilla milkshake from Tony's. There's like nothing better in the world.
It is, as I would say, legit.
I'm kind of with Steven. I keep saying I'm going to get something different every time, and I don't. And I've grown up on chocolate everything because my mom's obsessed with it. So I always get chocolate, but it has to be a milkshake. It has to.
I hear grape is the most popular, though. That's what I'll bring you, Adam.
Grape?
It sounds not delicious, but it is very delicious.
So if you go back to episode number 9 of Gaston's Grape, we actually had a live Tony's taste test on the podcast with grape and lemon black cherry and maybe one more, but I was surprised at the
Grape was
results.
really good.
Yeah, so we won't share the results, but we did.
Well, I'm excited to listen
Because
to
Steve
that.
Davia and Pat Munford were on here, and then we froze it for the next. We kept it for the next episode because it was
YMCA. That was Sharon.
yes,
Yep.
that's right.
And we did, and she ate all 3 of them.
Okay, Sundropper cheer wine.
Cheer one.
Yeah, Cheerwine, 100%.
So a mix of the two, cherry lemon Sundrop, good old
that-
CLSD.
Yeah, cherry lemon.
Yeah.
That's
I would.
fair.
Yeah,
That's, I
absolutely.
mean, if I'm going to do Sundrop, I would do that one.
yeah. Favorite local restaurant? Steven?
I think we mentioned this on the recording yesterday, I
think we
think.
did,
But
yes.
so I'm going to cheat and say Peterville for lunch and Webb for dinner. Webb Custom Kitchen.
Those are 2 really good
Or Ray
ones.
Nathan's, or I'm kidding. No.
I really, really enjoy Webb. Although I'm probably going to end up taking Janet's answer here, but I took my wife for her birthday to Bottle Tree, and that was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Baltry's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Bottle Tree, but you're right, Peterville for lunch. I'm gonna need a nap after, but it's so good. But Terra Mia in McAdenville, I'm a really big fan of Terra Mia.
Uh-oh.
I think
That might be the first time I've heard an answer that I don't think I've been there.
You haven't been to Terra Mia? You need to go to Terra Mia.
Okay.
It's amazing. It is really good. I'm glad you said that one. I'm gonna have to say Peterwheel because my dad and I go to Peterwheel every single Wednesday for daddy-daughter lunch,
Oh, nice.
and it's
awesome.
it's now my favorite place
That's
in the
very
whole world. I
sweet,
eat it every
Elizabeth.
week. Oh, thank you. We try.
It's, I mean, there's so many different things. It's not like it's a huge menu, but there's so many different things on there that are good. Like you can never get tired of it, I
Maybe
feel.
this is how we're going to start getting advertising dollars, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
sponsors. Okay. What's the next question?
Favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County?
I'm involved with a group called, I think I mentioned earlier, called F3, and it's Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith. And you know what? It's just doing outdoor workouts with that group, and all over different places in the county. So I'm like, that's going to be my answer. So all my F3 guys that are listening, I hope you heard me.
One of the things that I've enjoyed in kind of getting to know Gaston County is just spending time getting out and walking around some of the different downtowns. And, you know, whether it's in Gastonia or in Belmont or in Cherryville or Bessemer City, like that's been kind of interesting to do. And I haven't been able to do it as much as I would like just because of COVID, but I've enjoyed that.
So I have a gal pal hiking group, and so hiking, I would say, and I always feel bad because they always like cater to me because they're in Rock Hill and Charlotte, and they're always coming to Gaston County. Finally, I said, like, we can go somewhere else. You don't have to cater to me. They're like, no, you don't understand. That's where all the hiking is.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, fair enough. Gaston County's got great hiking.
We are lucky there, yes.
Yeah. Oh, but I did get into pickleball recently. Do y'all play pickleball? Does anybody here play pickleball?
I do.
That would be a
No.
It's an addictive game, and it's not hard to learn.
And I also love dining on patios outdoors.
That's a good activity. That's a good one. I'm going to be a little different. I'm going to say kayaking at the Whitewater Center.
Ooh.
I really love that, like when it's not a super hot day, but it's just pretty enough outside and it's very quiet. I could stay out there all day.
One of the things, even before I started working in Gaston County, I have family that lives in the Charlotte area, and so we had come for Christmas to Daniel Stowe before, and being able to walk the gardens when it's lit up for Christmas is really cool too.
It's a cool place, Gaston County.
I'm dreading this one. UNC Duke or State?
Well, I think we know somebody's answer on that.
I will answer, and then we will edit everyone else's answer out of this episode. So that would be North Carolina State University, the Wolfpack. That's an easy one, right, Elizabeth?
Adam.
See, being an Arizona guy, I went to the University of Arizona, and I grew up rooting for them because in Tucson, it's like one of the world's biggest small towns. I mean, it's a city of 500,000 people, but you feel like you know everybody there. They're somewhat, you went to school with them, or you're related to them, or you worked with them, or whatever. And there's no pro sports teams there, so everything funnels through University of Arizona Athletics. And that town, more than anything else, has been a basketball town since I was born. So rooting for University of Arizona basketball is like it's close to godliness and cleanliness in Tucson. So that's for me that I can never depart.
You have to pick.
So your answer is NC State.
Right, exactly. Well, we grew up not liking Duke or Carolina, so
that's fair.
That's good enough then.
Yeah.
Wolfpack, Wildcats.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I'm very much anti-Duke and Chapel Hill. So.
That's good enough. That's good enough for me. It's close enough. We'll go with that.
Okay, so I worked for Medical Center Pharmacy, and you know where that's going to go.
Yes,
if you're
I
from
do.
Here. So I think I have to choose UNC, and I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
This is a podcast of free will, so you don't have to answer anything. You can answer.
You can choose the wrong
totally, answer. Yeah. You're free to choose the wrong answer, which apparently that's where you're headed along with Elizabeth.
I'm sorry. It's going to have to be UNC.
Yeah.
See, if I had to pick a local school, I'm going to school right now at UNC Charlotte, and my wife teaches there as well. So that would be my allegiance for a local university.
Adam's going to get us kicked out. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Moving on.
Oh, what is something very few people know about you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Elizabeth, you're first to answer that question.
Why do I have to be first?
Because I'm the host, apparently.
You've been voluntold.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even have a chance to think about that one for a minute. Okay. Something that very few people know about me is I was born with short Achilles tendons in my legs, so I walk on my tiptoes all the time. As in, I can't physically walk flat on my foot.
Interesting.
So when people see me walk and they're like, "Why are you walking on your tiptoes?" Like, no, you don't understand.
I have no choice.
I don't have a choice. And a lot of people don't know that.
Were you in the circus as a kid?
I'm not going to say that I didn't try ballet and I didn't try things that would have been good for that, but it didn't work.
That's interesting. And I did not know that. So
See, there we go. It works.
that is in the category.
Something that very few people know. I've played basketball on 3 different continents.
I feel like they could look at you and tell
And
that.
then, and
How tall are you?
6'8".
6'8".
Yeah.
so besides North America,
Right. Played in college on a traveling team as part of a missionary organization. So we did a month-long tour in the Philippines. And then I played/did clinics in both Ghana and Zambia a year later.
oh wow,
That's awesome.
So I did some, it was tied to a missions organization called Sports Ambassadors. So we would go and the team that went to the Philippines, we took a team of guys from different colleges around the country, and we would play local teams and then do basically share our testimony and stuff at halftime. And it was interesting, especially there, because people just assumed it's like, oh, you're American college basketball players, like you must know Kobe Bryant. And it's like, so I've seen him on TV, and they're like, no, you hang out with Kobe, right? I'm like, sure.
yeah. Play basketball, everybody knows Kobe, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's definitely a first. That's not an answer that we've ever heard on the podcast. So that's
I don't think I knew that about you.
That's very unique.
See,
Wow.
it's not something that I've talked about a ton because it doesn't fit into like any of my work stuff. And so, but yeah.
I don't have anything good for this, but well, and also I talk a lot, so people know a lot of stuff about me, but I've never seen The Matrix. That's all I got. That came up yesterday, and somebody was very offended.
The podcast is over. Stop. Stop recording. So when people say take the red pill or the blue pill, you don't know what they're talking about, or
Like, okay, people
Well,
say that all the time, so like I
follow-
kind of know.
follow the white rabbit.
I just laugh and like, oh yeah,
Follow the white
that
rabbit.
red pill thing. Yeah.
That's actually an F3 thing too. Actually,
Is it?
yeah, take the daily red pill to stay in shape and do the right thing.
And also, this was even worse. Up until like a year ago, I had not read a single Harry Potter book or seen a single Harry Potter movie.
Wow.
But
That one doesn't actually bother me.
okay, good.
So I have to ask this one: have you seen like Star Wars?
Yeah. Yes.
That wasn't real confident, was it? Like,
Yeah, I grew up watching Star Wars, but I just kind of after they started making so many, I kind of stopped.
Okay.
But then there's Grogu, the little cute
Yes.
thing. So now I'm kind of back into it.
Baby Yoda. Yeah.
Yeah, Baby Yoda.
So I guess I'm up, huh? People that really close to me and family knows this, but I guess I'll say I was younger, not so much now. I still read a little bit of him, but I am a gigantic, growing up, Stephen King fan and a horror movie fan.
Okay.
And my wife will not watch horror movies with me. So, but my kids, my two oldest, are old enough now that they will. They'll do that with me, but yeah, I've read almost all of Stephen King's books.
My the gal that works directly for me, our deputy communications director, is a huge horror film fan and is constantly like, "Have you seen this?" And I'm like, "Dandra, you know I don't watch horror films." And she's like, "I need a different you. Like, I need somebody else to be you because I can't talk to you about any of this."
Well, what's interesting now, yeah, I mean, I really, especially with so many streaming services, I could probably get access to any of them now. I don't watch them like I did when I was younger, but of course it was much harder then, right? Actually, there were these things called VHS tapes.
Yeah,
that we had to go out.
I know what those are.
We had to go out and rent them. Okay, we had to actually drive to a store,
Blockbuster.
Yes.
walk around
Blockbuster.
for 30 minutes trying to figure out, But yeah, I don't watch as much as I used to. But that's there you go. That's all I got.
What type of horror film? Because there's slasher films, there's jump scare films, there's gory. I mean,
I'm not the big gory guy. It's more the suspense stuff, like maybe like the original Halloween. Okay. Alien is a classic that I would recommend. So yeah, then some of I'm not big into the big gore stuff. No. Yeah, that's
Ooh, there you go.
You've been waiting for a year to use that sound effect, haven't you?
I'm very satisfied now.
That was good. That was excellent timing.
Thanks.
Elizabeth.
Very satisfied. I'm good.
What's the next one?
Recent book, blog, or article that you have read that you would recommend?
Well, I do a book recommendation every single episode,
Feel free.
so I read more than anything else. Probably, I actually read more than I probably listen to podcasts. So I could. I'm thinking, what am I reading? Actually, my daughter just brought me a copy of Frankenstein,
Oh,
which I read when I was a kid, and I'm actually going to read it as soon as I get through. I'm reading a book about customer service right now too, called The Greatest Customer Service Experience or something like that. Gosh, I'm embarrassed I don't remember the title, but yeah, it'll be next on my list. So something I haven't read in a long time.
So someone who works at our museum, she had an article in, what magazine was it, Adam?
Oh, was it Gaston Lifestyles?
Yes, and she actually got to, what do you call it, preserve the original Frankenstein book.
Really?
The original, yes, but that is like
Wow.
an incredible book. Yeah, I'm into classics and memoirs. Anyway, sorry, this is not about me. This is about Adam now.
Well, you didn't mention.
Okay, I'll just go ahead. So, favorite book, blog, article. Okay.
Or just a recent one that you would recommend.
Right now I'm reading, so I'm big into memoirs. Right now I'm reading There Will Be No Miracles Here or something related to that. It's like loosely related to government, but I pretty much only read memoirs. So if you have any memoir recommendations, let me know.
Yeah, that seems like an appropriate title related to government.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say that out loud? Talking to two people that work for the government. Sorry.
No, we're very aware.
Oh yeah.
But I'll honestly podcasts all day, every day. All of them, like This American Life, all the NPR stuff. Radio Lab is one of my favorites. Yeah, I would recommend podcasts all day, and you can recommend them to me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, listen to a lot of leadership podcasts, stuff that's probably not NPR, but that's another story.
Freakonomics. Freakonomics is
Oh
one
yeah,
of my favorites.
it's on my subscription list.
Yeah,
I
and
subscribe
that
to
relates
Freakonomics.
kind of to my job, I guess. But yeah.
They got some good stuff on
Yeah.
Freakonomics. All right, who's next?
Oh, Elisabeth's got to go. I'm still
I have to go.
pondering this.
Okay. As an English major and having read so many books, that's going to be really hard. And I feel like my professors are going to get on me if I don't say something that I read in school. I actually did reread one of my favorite books from college. Was called. I took a class on like Jane Austen era, like Regency era literature, and there was a book called Evelina by Frances Burney, and it was all about young girls growing up in the Regency area and kind of just how they were expected to act. It's kind of in like a journal diary form, and it's just really interesting. It's got a lot of humor, and it's really funny. So I'd say if you like anything Jane Austen type, that's a really good one.
So, just curious, there isn't a blog that you're aware of?
The only blog I spend time on is my own.
Exactly. That's why I'm asking.
You're a
That's why
blogger.
you're asking. I'm a Disney blogger.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
I'm stunned that you. Of course, maybe I shouldn't. You're a little modest. So,
I'm a little modest.
so
yeah.
So let's get it out there.
Oh gosh. I have a Disney blog on Instagram because I love photography. So it's mostly picture based, and sometimes in my captions I'll put a little more info of things. But I grew up at Disney. I've been there like I can't even count, like 35 times maybe. So I have a blog. It's got like 7,000 followers on it right now.
I mean, that's legit. So,
Working on
is
it.
it separate? It's a separate from your regular Instagram, right? Or is it?
Yeah,
It's called.
It's called Of Beauty and Cinders because I love Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella, so I put them together. But yeah, that's the only blog I spend time on.
As Josh said earlier, smash that like button. What did he say?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Anyway,
Smash the
this
like
is your
button.
chance to
Yeah, my
follow. Whatever.
my wife's family are all Disney files, so
Oh,
they
yeah.
love all things Disney, and they're constantly stalking like the Disney blogs, and yeah.
Yeah, I've started getting to the point that like my friends will be like, "Can you plan my vacations?" And I'll be like giving them like 20-page guides that have like directional things and pictures, and they're like, "Okay, I didn't mean like this,
Right.
but that's fine." I was like, over preparation, it's okay.
Get a fast pass here, and then you want to go to this restaurant, and you want to hit this at this time, and yeah.
Literally with specific times, yes.
So your blog is going to go up to 7,003 followers after
I'll
this
take
episode.
that. Hey, I mean, that would be fantastic. I'll take whatever I can get. But no, it's cool because you get to meet people from. We have actually a group chat. It's like all of us. We're from the UK. We've got actually some people from the Ukraine and South America and all over the place. So you get to meet some cool people
That's awesome.
who like the same thing. Adam.
Favorite or recent book that I recommend. There was one that I read called The Death of Expertise by Tom Nichols that is really good and just kind of talks about how as a society, like we've kind of given up on people that know what they're talking about in favor of just like whoever on Facebook or social media.
Somebody screaming, whatever, who's ever screaming the loudest.
Exactly. And so that was interesting, and I read that during the pandemic, and it's like, oh, so much of what's going on makes more sense now.
Or somebody was an expert 2 months ago on COVID, now they're an expert on Russia and Ukraine.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I have my PhD in geopolitics from Facebook University.
Yes. That is one of the, I would say, to put it positive, one of the interesting things about some social media.
Yeah, there's definitely good things about social media, and then there are things about social media that have kind of cursed our society, I think.
Yes, I would agree. Oh, wow, we're at 45 minutes already. Holy moly.
Do we want to pick one more and wrap up? Oh, gosh, this last one. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Oh, I know. Can I go first?
Wow, that was quick.
To buy a house, because they were so much cheaper when I was 20.
Yes. Oh, we're done. That's easy. They were cheaper 20 minutes ago. The way the market's going, it's like, oh, my house just.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, people are camping out in yards to before the open house, so they can. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do a lot of work with our tax department behind the scenes to prepare people for revaluations coming up. They'll get their notices in February of 2023. So there'll be a lot of work ahead of time in terms of public meetings and communication about, like, if you haven't been paying attention to the market for whatever reason, don't freak out. But your house value is about ready to jump.
So you're having warning meetings, is what you're saying.
Basically, like,
yes.
Please don't lose your minds. And these numbers aren't made up, even though that sounds like they should be. They're not.
So I'm interested. Yeah, I don't think Elisabeth has answered this question before, because it was just a year ago.
I'm 24, so I guess that would be 4 years. I
don't know. A lot's happened in the last 2 years that feel like 20
That's true.
years.
And
that is actually very true.
And that is some good math there, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I barely passed statistics, so it's okay. To that, I would probably say, thinking about when I was 20 and I was about to graduate college, I feel like I didn't slow down and enjoy things while I was in college because I was so busy doing so much work. And especially when COVID started, and it started a month before my senior year ended, so we had all of our senior year stuff canceled.
Yep.
And I was like, I really wish I would have enjoyed more things if I had known. Not that I could have, but slow down and enjoy things more.
Yes. And you're only 24. I'm 51 as of this recording. So, but by asking this question so many times, if you've listened to most of the podcast, you probably, any listeners are going to kind of know my answer. But there's such I think I've learned that unfortunately, it requires experience and age to gain perspective. And looking back at when I was 20, the things that I thought were, so important, and when something happened, it was, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Well, now I laugh at that. So yes, just realizing that the things that you think are so important and disastrous, maybe it's a better word, when you're 20, 18, 19, 20, are just not that big a deal. But again, I think for me, it's impossible, I'm afraid, to have that perspective unless you have some really life-altering events when you're young. So I would just say, just realize that it's the sun will come up tomorrow and it'll be okay, and you'll start to gain a different perspective on all that as you get older, and hopefully you'll have an opportunity to get older, because everybody doesn't. So
that's true.
There's my memoir discussion for today. Right there in my journal.
Yeah, I think mine would probably be somewhere similar to that. Just cherish the time that you have with people, because you don't know. I think a lot of times we just kind of assume that, like, oh yeah, you'll live until you're in your 70s or 80s or whatever, and it's like, that's just not the case for everybody, for one reason or another. So cherish the time that you have with people and don't miss those opportunities.
That deserved a very short moment of silence, because we went from Disney to pretty serious.
Yeah.
We did.
Y'all are making me feel real shallow over here. Like I should have bought a house so I could save money.
That's still a really good one, though.
It is a good one.
That's why we let you go first. So I'm going to ask this one real quick. I know we are going longer than we had planned, but I'm going to ask the two of you guys. So I like this question. So why? But I'm going to throw in Savvy Citizen. So besides the Savvy Citizen podcast, why is Gaston County such a great place?
I've noticed that, well, especially through the podcast, I've noticed that people really love Gaston County. People who move here from wherever really love it. People who live here love it. It has a lot of like homegrown culture that you can't just buy or mimic in another city, or you can't just throw money at it and make that culture. So like McAdenville or like the Cherryville Shooters or all the things that are like very specific to Gaston County. There's a lot of that. But also through the podcast and interviewing people that live here, work here, I think that everybody is really passionate about, well, all of county employees are always so passionate about what they do. Like, again, nerding out on government stuff. They love their jobs with Gaston County. And everybody that lives here is just very passionate about living here. So great hiking. Great food.
Yeah, it's great. I agree.
I think we talked a little bit earlier about this idea of Gaston County sometimes feeling like we're being picked on by the Charlotte folks and like we're the redheaded stepchild sometimes. And, you get the jokes like the SNL thing about being the gateway to Charlotte being the gateway to Gastonia.
That's not a joke. That's real.
Well, yeah.
It is.
And I won't tell you how many media requests that I had to deal with after the TikTok video with the idiot girl from Florida that thought that Switzerland was in Gaston County.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, and
was good.
so it's like we have lots of good stuff that we're doing, and yet this is what everybody from every single TV station and CNN, and it's like, oh, let's do a fun story about it. It's like, no, it's not really a fun story because it's picking on us, and it's like there is legitimately like great hiking and great outdoor spaces. I mean, Janet mentioned this. Like, I mean, your friends are coming here not because it's like, oh, well, we'll be closer to you. It's like, no, that's where we want to go because that's where the best stuff is. And I think Gaston County really, even though I haven't been here for very long, it's really a hidden gem. And there's a lot of really terrific stuff to do here, places to eat, things to enjoy. But it does really get back to the people. And that's been one of the things that I feel like I've really enjoyed the most is getting to connect with people that live here that care about Gaston County. And I think people here are just very genuine, which you don't always get. Having lived in D.C. and in Phoenix for a long time, I mean, areas that are home to a lot of transplants and people don't have a sense of place and roots. And I think that's very different here. And I think that's something special and something to be valued.
Great answer. Elizabeth, I'm going to make you answer.
Oh, you're going to make me answer this one too?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it should speak for itself that I went to college in Charlotte and I came back.
Yeah.
Because it's just all the people. It feels like home, and everywhere else I feel like I go besides Disney.
Sure, so Charlotte did
I have
prepare
to
you
throw
to
that
come
in.
back through the gateway.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was like, no.
I do have a T-shirt, by the way, that Michael Applegate brought me
Yeah.
on our episode when they were on.
Gateway.
All right, so I wasn't going to answer this question, but I think I will. You kind of stole my answers, but I'm going to go. I don't want to take us down a bad road again here, but almost a year ago we experienced something very tragic here, and I'm going to use that example because the response and the support that we received from everyone here in Gaston County was it reminded me, at a moment where I couldn't imagine anything worse. We were over the few weeks after, we were reminded that there is some hope in humanity, and because for a long period of time, I personally felt like there was no hope. This was, how could this possibly have happened? But the community, individuals, the community as a whole, really lifted us up and helped us through something that just was unimaginable. So I don't want to stay on that topic because we're coming up to I don't know when this is going to be released. It's probably going to be released pretty close to the 1-year anniversary of that event. So maybe that's a good time to talk about nothing good came from that other than how our team members here and the community kind of lifted us up in a time when we really needed it. And I think that's a testament to really what Gaston County is about. So, whoa,
That's a tough one.
I'm glad that's out. So,
well, yeah, I mean, something like that, you can never. There's so much darkness around something like that, but I'm glad that the community did rally kind of behind you guys. I mean, that shows the true nature of people, kind of regardless of their background and views on whatever. I mean, to just come and rally around people in their greatest time of need, I think says a lot.
Yeah, it was the worst and best of times, so to speak. Didn't somebody famous say that? Or a book started out that way, Miss?
Yeah, it's Dickens.
Dickens,
Best of times,
yes.
Best of times, worst of times.
Yes. I'm stunned that came to my head after saying that. All right, so in all seriousness, so somebody wants to listen and find the Savvy Citizen, where do they go?
So if you're a podcast fiend, you can find us just about anywhere that you get your podcast from. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, iHeartRadio. I mean, most of the podcast providers. And then if you go to the Gaston County website under the communications section, we've got a player embedded on the website too. And so you can go and you can find the most recent episode and past episodes as well.
Yeah, I found it. We were going to Apple Music. I found it very quickly, and then when I Googled it, the county website was the first thing that came up. So that's a great. What's your favorite episode of that y'all have done?
Ooh.
And I'm not going to let this turn into another hour, so we're going to close this out.
So I just said this earlier, but I think the whole reason I wanted to be a part of the podcast is 'cause I want to get to the bottom of fish camps and the culture around fish camps in Gaston County. And I should have just stopped after that episode because, like, mystery solved. And I learned so much. So I would say that one because it was kind of my purpose.
Fair enough.
But we had some really good ones early on because everything was so timely too, around like the pandemic, elections,
Gotcha.
all kinds of
Right,
stuff.
right.
That was one. We had a survivor come on. It was one of the earliest episodes, and it was real emotional. It was really good. But then I kind of like the ones where we just talk about nothing and just get like way off track sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if the listeners like that.
So it's like a Seinfeld podcast?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We have some recurring guests.
Kind of like this podcast today.
Oh, gosh. This is nothing compared, like, the ones that I'm sure Janet's thinking of are the ones that we have, like Jason Luker and Alex Brooks from the County Museum on.
Yeah, we've had Jason on here.
And
he was great.
We have a tendency to go off the rails. We go down some rabbit holes, and then, we'll sit there during the podcast and basically talk into the mic and be like, Josh, you're probably going to need to edit like half of this out.
Well, I got to give Jason credit. So if you haven't listened to his episode here, he has the greatest explanation of why NC State was his answer.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It was terrific. Wasn't it, Elisabeth?
It was great.
Oh, yeah, it really, because he's not from here.
Yeah.
So, but
he's from Birmingham.
Yeah, he had a great explanation of why he says NC State is the correct answer to that, and I have to agree with him.
There you go.
All right, Elisabeth, producer, how do we wrap this one up?
What do you mean, how do we wrap this one up? We wrap it up.
I don't know.
Please go give us a 5-star rating on both of our podcasts.
Absolutely.
It helps our algorithms.
Well, from Janet and I mean, we definitely appreciate everybody over the past year and a half or so that we've been doing this, that's listened, that's engaged with us, that's, provided feedback. I mean, the whole reason we're doing this is to and for you guys as well, I'm sure. I mean, just to connect people with good stuff that's going on.
It is, absolutely.
And which is one of the reasons why we wanted to collaborate with you guys.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah,
we're just excited that you guys exist, and we can, just tell everybody how great Gaston is.
That's right.
There's enough stuff to talk about too, especially with the government. I mean, it's not a competition. When those was many that I didn't say, we can't have some other podcasters on here. what in the world? Yeah, I mean, the more people hear these things going on around the county, even if it is government stuff, it's good. I mean, it really is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so thank you both for having us on. It was very fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
So, you know what? This is going to be your second worldwide debut of you get to finish off the podcast today.
I'm never good at when you make me do improv stuff like this. I'm not prepared. I'm not like you, Janet. I can't just be off the rails like that. thanks for listening to today's podcast.
That's
That's because I've memorized what you usually say.
Here, you want the sheet?
You've had it, yeah.
Just don't say I'm Stephen Long, the host.
I'm not going to say thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's podcast. Please spread the word if you can about the podcast and Savvy Citizen. And please don't hesitate to contact either of our podcasts. Always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find both of our podcasts and subscribe on our websites or anywhere you listen to podcasts, and follow us on our social media platforms. Yes, giving us a good rating does help our algorithm, so please give us 5 stars and don't rate us if you're going to give us anything less.
That's normally what I say, yes.
And if you're going to give us 1 star, just send me the angry email anyway.
Yeah, we'd
It's
rather just
fine.
have that.
Yeah.
We can deal with the angry emails. Thanks to Janet and Adam for collabing with us today. And Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Amy Anderson and, do I say Stephen Long today? Me?
I don't
Me
do
and
anything.
you.
I don't do anything important.
From GSM. I'm not Stephen Long, so I'm not the host. But
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Thanks for hanging out with us, and keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.